In a small, quiet village, nestled among rolling hills, lived a young man whose mind was anything but quiet. He often found himself sitting alone, watching the sunrise. But the beauty of the morning light was lost on him. His head was heavy, filled with a swirling storm of dreams and worries. He carried the weight of his own expectations, the pressure from his family, and a deep-seated fear of what the future held. It felt like his mind was a crowded room, packed with thoughts that shouted over one another. There was the ticking clock, reminding him of time slipping away. There were symbols of money, representing the success he felt he needed to achieve. Books floated around him, a constant reminder of all the things he didn't know. And everywhere, there were question marks, endless doubts that chipped away at his confidence. He was completely overwhelmed, drowning in the noise of his own mind. He felt stuck, unable to move forward, unable to find peace. Desperate for a way out, he heard whispers in the village about a wise old master who lived high in the mountains. They said this master had a way of seeing things clearly, of untangling the knots that life ties in our minds. With a sliver of hope, the young man decided to make the journey. He left his village behind and began the long walk up a winding path that snaked through the mountains. The air grew cleaner, the sounds of nature replaced the noise of his thoughts, and for the first time in a long time, he felt a sense of calm. The journey itself was a meditation, a preparation for what was to come. When he finally arrived at a small, unassuming tea house perched on the mountainside, he was greeted by the master. The old man had a long, white beard and eyes that sparkled with a gentle warmth. His smile was welcoming, putting the young man instantly at ease. They sat down at a simple wooden table, and without even being asked, the young man's worries came pouring out. He spoke for what felt like hours, a torrent of words about his struggles, his frustrations, his failures, and the crushing weight of his anxieties. He talked about feeling lost, about the fear of not being good enough, about the constant pressure to succeed. The master listened patiently, his gaze never wavering. He didn't interrupt. He didn't offer advice. He simply held the space for the young man's pain. His calm presence was a stark contrast to the young man's emotional turmoil. When the young man finally fell silent, exhausted from his own outpouring, the master simply nodded. Then, without saying a single word, he reached for a teapot and a small, empty cup. He began to pour the tea, a steady, silent stream of amber liquid filling the delicate porcelain. The tea filled the cup, reaching the brim, but the master didn't stop. He just kept pouring. The tea spilled over the edge, cascading down the side of the cup and pooling on the wooden table. The young man watched in stunned silence at first, but as the puddle grew, he couldn't hold back any longer. "Stop," he cried out, raising a hand. "Can't you see? The cup is already full. It can't hold any more." He was agitated, confused by the master's strange behavior. The master finally stopped pouring. He looked at the young man, his eyes full of compassion, and then gestured toward the overflowing cup. "You are like this cup," he said softly, his voice calm and clear. "Your mind is so full of your own worries, fears, and preconceptions that there is no room for anything new. You came here seeking answers, but how can you receive them when your mind is already overflowing?" The master's words struck the young man like a bolt of lightning. He fell silent, staring at the spilled tea, the master's simple action reflecting his own inner state perfectly. He had been so busy holding on to his worries, so full of his own internal monologue, that he hadn't left any space for wisdom, for growth, for peace. The noise in his head had deafened him to any new perspective. It was a profound moment of realization. The clutter, the stress, the constant mental chatter, it wasn't just a symptom of his problems, it was the problem itself. He finally understood. To learn, to grow, to find peace, the master continued gently, "You must first empty your cup. You must let go of what you think you know. You must clear out the clutter of your worries and doubts to make space for what is to come." The image of an empty cup, clean and ready, flashed in the young man's mind. It wasn't a symbol of emptiness, but a potential, of possibility. The young man returned to his village, but he was not the same person who had left. The frantic energy was gone, replaced by a quiet calm. His heart felt lighter, his mind clearer. He walked with a new sense of purpose, not driven by fear, but guided by a newfound focus. He went back to his work, but his approach was completely different. Instead of trying to do everything at once, paralyzed by the sheer volume of his ambitions, he focused on one task at a time. He poured his full attention into the present moment, whether it was studying a book, crafting an object, or simply tending to his garden. The constant chatter of fear and doubt was gone. He worked diligently, not for the sake of an uncertain future, but for the simple, satisfying process of doing good work in the now. His mind was empty of distraction and full of intention. Days turned into weeks and weeks turned into months. This small change in his mindset created a ripple effect throughout his life. Each focused effort was a small victory, a brick laid in the foundation of his future. The progress was gradual at first, but it was steady. He grew more skilled, more knowledgeable, and with each accomplishment, his confidence blossomed. It wasn't an arrogant confidence, but a quiet self-assurance born from competence and hard work. He was no longer a young man overwhelmed by his dreams, but a man actively building them, one step at a time. The mountain of his ambitions no longer seemed insurmountable. It was simply a path to be walked, one focused step after another. Years passed, and the young man, now a mature and confident adult, had built a life that was not just successful, but deeply fulfilling. He found that true success wasn't about fame or fortune, but about balance, peace, and purpose. Standing once again on that familiar hill, watching the sunrise, he smiled. His mind was as calm and clear as the morning sky. By learning to empty his cup, he had made room for a life that was truly full. Thank you for watching. If this story resonated with you, please like, share, and subscribe for more content that inspires you to empty your cup and fill it with purpose.